China has threatened countermeasures after Donald Trump signalled that he might impose an additional 50% tariff. If the US president implements his new import tax on Chinese products, it would be a combined 104% duty. Mr. Trump's threat comes after China says it'll retaliate against the tariffs announced last week. For more, our East Asia correspondent Kathleen Calderwood joins us now from Taipei. Hi, Kathleen. So what exactly has China proposed here?
Well, look, the response from China has been really strong. A statement from the Commerce Ministry today saying they are willing to fight until the end if Mr. Trump continues with this approach of reciprocal tariffs. Now, it might be helpful to just sort of lay out the timeline here. Of course, Mr. Trump announced his so-called Liberation Day tariffs last week, China being hit with 34% tariffs, which are due to come in from the 9th of April. Now, Beijing responded over the weekend saying that they in turn would be putting 34% import taxes on goods coming into China from the US starting on the 10th of April. Now we're hearing from Mr. Trump that if Beijing does not reverse that announcement, he'll be by today that he'll be putting an additional 50% tariff on Chinese goods. Now these numbers are in addition to 20% that he already put on earlier in the presidency, so that's bringing that total number to 104% if they all come to fruition, in addition to a number of other tariffs that were implemented during his first presidency and continued throughout Joe Biden's administration. So a lot of tit for tat going on here. The Chinese Commerce Ministry putting out a statement today saying that the so-called reciprocal tariffs imposed by the US are entirely groundless and constitute unilateral bullying. By threatening to escalate tariffs on China, the US is compounding its error and further revealing its coercive nature. If the US persists in going its own way, China will fight until the end. Now, we haven't seen Donald Trump and Xi Jinping talk yet since this tariff war sort of first kicked off several weeks ago now, but we did hear some comments from Mr. Trump about the situation earlier.
With China, as you know, against my statement, they put a 34% tariff on above what their ridiculous tariffs were already. And I said, if that tariff isn't removed by tomorrow at 12 o'clock, we're putting a 50% tariff on above the tariffs that we put on. So they've gone for years. They've become a rich country because of people, again, that were in the White House that allowed this to happen. Hundreds of billions of dollars a year they'd make on us on trade, and it shouldn't be that way. And I have a great relationship with President Xi. I hope it's going to stay that way. I have great respect for China, but they can't do this.
And Kathleen, how have markets in China reacted?
Well, the Hong Kong stock market yesterday had its biggest drop since 1997. And for people who would remember, 1997, of course, was when Hong Kong was handed over back to China from the UK. So 13.2% down yesterday, compared to another time of great uncertainty in Hong Kong. So there's a really significant comparison there. Here in Taiwan, stocks fell nearly 10%, which is the biggest fall on record for Taiwan. Tokyo stocks plunged nearly 8%. So we're seeing huge ramifications around Asia. And it will be interesting to see how Beijing continues to try and use this uncertainty caused by Donald Trump and his administration to paint itself as a more stable partner for countries moving forward. It's already done a lot of that work, of course, through the Belt and Road Initiative now over many years, particularly in regards to developing nations. But in a context where you can see US uncertainty having such significant ramifications for Asian stock markets and China, therefore, sort of presenting itself as this more stable, reliable partner, standing up to bullying, presenting strength against strength, you can see how it might start to try and use this as a tool really to pull some of those partners, particularly the ones in Southeast Asia, which have been hit hardest by these reciprocal tariffs, how Beijing might use this as a way to pull those partners closer towards China.